What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Good morning and welcome to Silver Ridge Peaks. We are grinding for the new Great One Black Bear. We do have a new Great One in the Hunter Called Wild. It is a Black Bear confirmed, and so we need a new Great One guide. In this video, I'm going to cover everything that I know as far as grinding them. I'm going to show you guys hotspots. We'll talk about loadouts, strategies. This is a very different grind from a red deer or a whitetail grind, so we're going to talk about the differences, and basically I'm going to try to give you guys all the knowledge that you're going to need, everything required, all the fundamentals, so that you guys can go out and grind successfully until you can hopefully spawn your own Great One Black Bear. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If it helps you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but let's just jump straight into the video. All right, guys, here we go. Silver Ridge Peaks. Now, we got a lot to go over. The first thing I want to say, and I can't stress this enough, I'm probably going to be saying it a whole bunch of times through this video. This is a very different grind from whitetail or red deer. There are a lot of differences. Fundamentals are mostly the same, but the way that we're going to be going about doing this, the strategy, the method of it is going to be a little bit different. I'll talk about that as we go along. Let's start with the smaller things, the easier things. Loadout. Black bears are class 7, so you've got a bunch of options. You could use everything from like a 3, you could use your 308 if you want to, M1, 303, any 4 to 8 class weapon. There's a whole bunch of them you can choose from. You can use 30-06. You could use the 7mm if you want to, if you don't have something bigger. I like the 300. So let's just jump into the inventory here. I'll show you guys what I'm carrying. I've got the 308 in case I need it. I've got the 22. And then I've got the 300. So I'm covered for everything. This is my Silver Ridge Peaks, pretty much standard loadout. And then I've got the bear collar. You're gonna want the Predator Distressed Fawn collar. That's the one that you use for the black bears. And then you'll be good to go. You can call them if you need to. I've got the Apex View binoculars, and then I've got tents as well. I don't know why I don't have those in there, but I carry my tents as well. And that's my loadout for this grind. Pretty simple. You can throw first aids in there, whatever. I should probably have first aids in there too. But that's pretty much it for the loadout. Pretty easy stuff. Class 7, tons of choices for loadout. You can use the 338 instead if you want. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the loadout. So the next thing, let's just get it completely out of the way just to begin with. Let's jump into my map and let's just talk about tent and tripod placement. We're going to talk about more of what that means and what you kind of need to know when it comes to like placing tents and tripods and stuff so that you're not spooking animals. You want your tents 250 meters away from anywhere where there's going to be an animal that you could possibly spook, right? So my tent here is about 250 meters away there from that black bear zone, and then we're definitely far enough away from that one. So what I would do, I mean, you can see it at all of my spots where I've got tents. This tent is for these black bears over here, and then I've got a recovery tent that I've placed on the other side so I don't have to run all the way around to pick up my bears. But then this also serves as a tent that I can use to hunt the zones that are across the water on this side if I have any, which I do. I actually have black bear at both of these zones as well as the other animals that are there. So that's another thing. For the bigger lakes, I do like to use recovery tents if I can, so I'm not spending a whole bunch of time running all the way around to pick them up at the other side of the lake. So yeah, 250 meters for your tents. Tripods should be fine from 150. I've never spooked animals getting on a tripod from 150 away. So sometimes what you can do is place your tent far enough back, 250 back, and then maybe 100 meters up or so. Place a tripod if you need one. And you can use the tripod. You're not going to need tripods at all of your zones here. Tripods really, if it's a visual thing, if you need to be higher up to kind of see, maybe you need to be higher just to see, like a good example of that is actually this lake right here. Really tall reeds line the lake across here, so you can't really see anything. So I've actually got 2 tripods. There is a bug right now. Your tripods are not going to show up on the map. Your icons, hopefully that's hot fixed soon, but I have 2 tripods here. This is a huge lake, so I've just got 2 of them. There's really tall reeds there. You can't really see anything. You got to get up higher, so I used tripods there. The thing with black bears, the herds are smaller typically. There are some spots where you do have bigger herds, and you are going to want a tripod because you're shooting more than 3 animals. But for the most part, you're not going to be too worried about that. Not as much as like with whitetail or red deer, where you kind of need tripods at like every zone because you're shooting a ton of animals. But yeah, so 250 meters away for your tents, 150 meters for tripods if you need them. Something I always mention in the Great One guides, don't carry backpacks. That's just a basic beginner tip. If you're carrying a backpack, of any kind, you're going to be more visible and you're going to be making more sound. Essentially, you're going to be spooking animals all over the place. That's why you don't see content creators using them. I've gotten that question a few times recently. Why don't you use a backpack? And that's the reason. So put the backpacks away. You can put a backpack on when you're setting up if you want to be able to carry more stuff while you're going around setting things up. But just remember to take it off and keep in mind that there's no icon or anything that's going to tell you that you're wearing a backpack other than in your storage, where it's going to say that you've got more room. You could be carrying that backpack for a long time and not even realize it, and be spooking animals before you're even seeing them. So the next thing that we have to address, and the next question that I get a lot is, are we going to shoot the females or are we just going to shoot males? Do we just shoot males? Do we just shoot the big males? You guys got to keep in mind that no matter what I tell you in this guide, this is just coming from me, and it's not necessarily the right way to do it. There are a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. There are different methods. Everyone kind of has their own style. The thing is, and the main thing to keep in mind is that the game is doing the hardest work. I like to always say the game is doing the hardest work. We go out there and we shoot the animals and we get them to respawn. The great one has a low rate of spawn. It's a rare, just like a rare or a diamond. It's just that it's very, very rare. The game is what's going to respawn that animal. If you get lucky enough that it respawns that black bear as a great one, the game will do that. You don't necessarily do that, right? So all we're doing, we're going out, we're shooting bears, and we're hoping that one of the males respawns as a great one. So we know that the females can't do that. There are some reasons that you might want to shoot the females. Some people just like to do that. They find that it makes their grind more consistent. Me, I've always only shot the males. I'll shoot females if there's just a ton out of zone and I want to try to shake things up, see if I can maybe get some of the males to move around more. But right now, I might change that. I might end up deciding that I do want to shoot the females as well. I'm just kind of getting into the groove of the grind right now. We'll see how it feels, but right now I am going around to all the lakes and I'm just shooting the males. I'm leaving the females alone. We'll see how that goes, and we'll see if we want to change that. But you can do it either way. It's not going to make or break your grind. It's not going to make the great one spawn if you go out and you know, one of the runs you shoot a bunch of females, then all of a sudden a great one pops. It really doesn't have anything to do with that. You're just hoping that that rare great one spawns from one of your males. So, and that brings us into the next thing. Another question I get a lot is, how does hunting pressure work? You're going to want to know how that works for this grind. Hunting pressure basically stacks. So the hunting pressure gets brighter as there's more. And if you shoot, so this is actually a good example. So this is what hunting pressure looks like when you shoot 3 animals in one spot. It gets really bright. If I was to shoot one more animal there and I'm not on a tripod, that zone disappears. I wipe the zone. Another way to wipe a zone is if I've got 4 bears here, I shoot all 4, I shoot all the animals there, I wipe the zone. So if you're using a tripod, you can shoot, I think it's 16 animals before wiping a zone. So that's another really good reason to use tripods. As I kind of mentioned before, if you've got a whole bunch of bears at a zone and you know you're going to be having to shoot a bunch every run, use a tripod, because then you won't be wiping that zone unless you want to wipe the zone. And that's what brings us back to the whole method thing. Some people don't mind wiping their zones. Go around to every lake, wipe all the zones, no big deal. They come back anyway. When a zone does get wiped, a lot of the time it comes back in the exact same spot. A lot of the time it will repop somewhere else on the map. It's kind of like an animal respawning. It's very similar. So you shoot an animal, most of the time it's going to respawn in the same spot at the same zone, but sometimes they do respawn somewhere else. So it's very similar. You can think of it the same way as an animal respawning. So that's something to take into account as well. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that black bear are a lot different than whitetail and red deer, that this grind is going to be different. One thing about the black bear on Silver Ridge Peaks in particular, I don't know if it's like this in Mississippi or Layton Lakes right now. They did both just get a big reset, and I haven't been on either of those maps yet to check out the black bears. But on Silver Ridge Peaks, the black bears move around a lot. So let's say I've got a few males here at this lake and I shoot all 3. There's a really good chance that those males are going to respawn somewhere else. It's not really like whitetail and red deer. With the whitetail and red deer grinds, as you guys have probably seen in the guides or you've heard me talk about in the streams, I've got very particular setups. I've got certain, I might hunt, there might be like 7 or 8 specific lakes that I'm set up at. I've got my tent set and I've got setups at, and that's my rotation. And you just go through that rotation. You don't really need to bother checking the other lakes. Your respawns come back where you shot them. And it's kind of this linear process that you can just go through and do your rotation as it were every time, and expect your respawns to come back at the lakes where you shot them. With black bears, they tend to move all around the map. One thing that you kind of want to do here is when you're doing your setups, do your tents so that you can visit a lot of different places from one tent, right? Now, there are certain lakes that I'm not going to include in my grind. One way to do this is you can check every lake, every run, okay? There's a chance that black bears are going to spawn at lakes that you're not hunting if you're not checking every single lake. Another way you can do it is just kind of, and the way I'm doing it is to exclude my lakes where I haven't found any black bear, and that's basically these lakes up here. These two, I have not found black bear. I do believe that there are certain lakes where black bear won't spawn, so I'm leaving those out. This lake down here, I'm not checking. This lake down here, I've never seen black bear there. But what I'm going to do is kind of intermittently, maybe like every 10 runs or so, just run over those lakes that I haven't checked in a while, just make sure there aren't black bears sitting there, and I can kind of fine tune my grind that way. There might be the odd lake that I haven't been grinding where I thought that no black bears could be, and then all of a sudden they're there. And then I can be like, okay, I need to include that into my rotation. But just keep in mind, your black bear are going to move around a lot. You're going to want to check more lakes than you normally would with like a whitetail or red deer grind, and just make sure that you're touching all the lakes. Lots of black bears along the coast here. I found a whole bunch of zones along here. I would check all the way along. I haven't made my way all the way along, but I'm guessing, and I'm almost for sure, 100% sure that there are going to be zones along here too. So, and I've even got zones outside of the map, which is really strange. Obviously, I can't use those zones. I don't know why they're there. You might have zones down there as well. I would just try to ignore them. I have heard that if you spook them, if you, just go down here, maybe shoot your gun. Apparently, if they do spook the ones that are outside the map, apparently they run back into the map. I haven't tested it out, but I was told that. So you could try doing that. But you're gonna have enough zones. You're not gonna have to, hunt every single zone. But you are going to be wanting to check your map, because the black bears, they're going to move around. They're going to move around like crazy. So on this map that I've got for you guys, I do have a hotspot map. I'll throw that up on the screen. It's probably already been up on the screen in the video. But basically what I've done, the red are the lakes where I've got males. It might be males and females. It might be a whole bunch of males. Like for instance, 2 fawns. I've got like 15 females up there, but I do have 1 male. So what I've done is every lake that has any males whatsoever, I've circled it in red and green. The green circles are lakes that have only females, no males there. So keep in mind, this is just a reference. This is my map. There's a good chance that you might have males at those lakes. A lot of those lakes where I've only got females, you might have males there, right? Don't completely rely on my map. Keep in mind, it is a reference. Check all your lakes. Definitely check those green lakes. Don't leave those out. Don't be like, oh, well, there's only females there. I'm not going to include the females. KC doesn't shoot the females, so I'm not going to. You might have females at those lakes that I've circled in green. You want to check those. Make your own hotspot map. Don't do what I've done. Make your own and rely on that. But use mine as a reference while you're doing that. That's what that's there for. Black bears drink from 15 to 20:30. Set the time for 15:30. Go out. Expect them to take a little while to come in. I've had to wait as long as up until like 16:30, 16:45 for the black bears to show up. So exercise a little bit of patience. Don't just go to your lakes at 1500, 15:30, and then if they're not there, just start moving on and assume there's no black bears. A lot of people are saying that they can't find black bear on their map, or they don't have any males. I imagine a lot of those people are probably not waiting long enough for them to come in, or they're only checking once and not going back. A lot of the time what I'll do is when that time is starting, when it's like 15:30, 1600, I'll check a lake, and like if it's early enough, if there's nothing there, I'm like, okay, I'll go to the next one, check that one, and then go back. And a lot of time when you go back, there are black bears there. So up until like 1800 even, I'll still go back sometimes. Like if I was at a lake and I didn't see anything at 1700, I'll move on to the next one, see some black bears, and then I'll go back. And sometimes they're just there. It just takes a while sometimes. So be thorough. Don't just go over your map once expecting to find all your black bear, expecting to find all your zones. Go through a few times, put in some time. If you're really serious about grinding it out and trying to get your great one, put in the time, check your map over a few times, do a few runs before you, decide to settle on what lakes you're going to check, what lakes you aren't going to check. Fine tune it. I call it fine tuning the grind. Expect that your first 5, 6, 7 runs are part of the fine tuning process. And that you're just getting everything kind of settled and sorted out, and then you'll get into the grind. Another thing that I really recommend doing, this is something I always do in grinds, is come up with a rotation, I call it. And that means just starting somewhere and ending somewhere and going through the same way. Eventually, you're going to build that muscle memory, and you won't have to think too much about where you're going. If you're just going all over the place, especially with this grind where you've got so many places you're going to need to go, don't just make it sporadic and random where you're going. That's going to be so messy. It's going to take you so much longer. You're not going to be able to remember where you were. What I do for these grinds is I start in the north and work my way down. For whatever reason, I'm starting in the east and work my way west with this one. It just feels right to do that. Whatever feels right for you, do that. Work your way, north to south or east to west or however you want to do it. It's going to make it way easier for you in the long run to do that. Some other points to mention. I'm just trying to think of all the questions that I could get regarding this stuff. I want to touch on everything in this video. Do you have to harvest the animals? I do believe that they have changed it. They've fixed it so that you do have to pick up everything. If you don't pick something up, it's going to respawn. It's going to just come back as the same animal. Until it's harvested, it won't respawn into something new. So make sure you're picking up all your black bears. That's important. But yeah, I think that's about it, you guys. I think I've touched on everything I wanted to touch on. I think we've covered pretty much everything. If there's any other questions, anything else that I've missed, let me know down in the comments, and I'll be down there helping you guys out down there in the comments as well. And as the grind progresses, we'll be talking about it more in the streams, and so I can answer more questions and things there. But the hotspot map will be available in my Discord, completely free. You can download it. All of the hotspot maps I've ever made, any hotspot map I've ever made for any of my guides are all in the Discord. So join the Discord. The link's below in the description. And yeah, I hope this helps you guys. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything else. If you have any more questions, let me know down below. I'll be sure to answer. And yeah, if it did help you, drop a like. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Good luck on the grind. I hope you guys do get your great ones. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.